Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Crypto Warehouse. I am Mike. Today is the 10th of January already. It's 11 a.m. Central European time. And what on earth has happened in the last 12 hours? What an absolute sugar show we have had. But don't worry, we are going to try and make some sense of it today. We're going to go through it. We're going to explain what has actually happened. If you've been to bed and you've woken up and you've seen the charts, and you're thinking to yourself, what has gone on? Well, the SEC's Twitter account was hacked. We're going to go over that first after we've looked at the markets. Then we're going to look at Valkyrie. That's one of the ETFs which should be approved today. Then we're going to look at El Salvador, their history with Bitcoin and how well they're doing now. We're going to look at Chainlink. It's broken out of its channel. Where next? We're going to look at Doge, AVAX NFTs, and then at the end we're going to have a quiz. We're going to try and do it all a little bit faster than normal today. We'll try and get the news done by 11:40 or so, and then we can have a longer quiz, which we don't seem to do anymore. We seem to have too much news in the show to actually get to a long quiz. So we're going to go through the charts first, see where we are, and then I'm going to explain just what on earth has happened. So first of all, as you can see, Bitcoin is below $46,000. Just for the record, Brogan longed Bitcoin, 20x longed Bitcoin last night at 44,800. So if everything goes to plan tonight and we do get the ETF approval, which again we're going to go over in a minute, then myself and Brogan will be doing a special stream. That will be tonight, maybe 7 or 8 o'clock Central European time tonight. We'll be doing a special stream. So check the calendar. We will put it up on our socials. We'll put it up in the calendar. So if we're broadcasting on whichever exchange you're watching us on, look out for that. But the market cap has come down 2%. Volume is only down 8%. That's not really here nor there. Bitcoin dominance is 52.8. ETH is 16.6. Nothing to write home about. Bitcoin is at 45.7. Ethereum is having a bit of a run, 24.24. I'm going to look at the chart in a minute and look at the Bitcoin Ethereum chart and show you something that I mentioned to you probably only a week ago now. I did the Bitcoin Ethereum chart and I said we were looking for a bounce. Let's see what's happened. So what's happened in the last 24 hours? Lido is up, Bonk is up, Rocket Pool is up, Arbitrum, and Optimism is up. Optimism is up only because we covered it on the show yesterday. That's the amount of influence that we now have on the markets on this channel. We are probably going to break 85,000 followers today, which is some record considering we were at about 3,000 followers this time last year. Maybe not even that, maybe 2,000 followers this time last year. So a big thank you to everybody that's watching for helping us get there. Ethereum Classic is up, Synthetics is up, Maker is up. 24-hour losers, Stacks is down, Injective, Say, Axelar, Audi. Now, we did, I believe, Brogan shorted Say on the video that he made on, what day is it today? Wednesday. On Monday, he said that Say would fall down towards the 63-cent level. It's down at 67 cents. It's still got a little bit to go, but I do believe he shorted it. So that'll be good for him. I've also this morning bought some Stacks because I think that the news today is going to benefit Stacks. Excuse me. We don't have time to talk about it today, but look at Stacks. Look at its connection to Bitcoin. We're going to have a move on it today, I think. Ordinals is down a little bit. Sats is down a little bit. There is a theme amongst these. There is a Bitcoin-related theme about those that are in the bottom. AVAX is down a bit. Beam is down. I have a bag of Beam. Now, if all goes to plan, there will be a competition giveaway tonight. We have 300 or 400, maybe even 500 Beam to give away tonight. If the ETFs get approved and if we go live, we will be giving away the Beam on the show. live on the show with the wheel. The crypto warehouse wheel will be spinning tonight for the first time in months. So that's where we are with the charts, excuse me. And now, before we get on to have a look at what on earth happened with Gary, a few shout outs. Good morning to Hidden Agendas. Good morning, Naveen. Good morning, Daniel. Good morning to Kishan in chat. I will probably be best off dropping a box soon. Anybody else? Let me know also. I don't say it often enough, but remember, this is a two-way stream. So if you have a comment about anything whatsoever, it doesn't even have to be on the news, anything you want to bring up. If you want to ask about XAI coin or whatever else it might be, feel free to ask in the chat and I will try and see your questions. Good morning, Sonia, and a happy new year to you. I hope you had a lovely break wherever you were. I'm just scrolling up now. Umar, hello, welcome. Nice of you to join us. Good morning. I can't read that name. W. Mandry, good morning. War Master C, good morning. Did I hack the SEC? Funnily enough, I did. It was me. Hand on heart, I hacked it. But we're going to cover that first. So let me get on to what actually happened. For those of you that have been asleep, this was published last night on the SEC's own Twitter account. Today, the SEC grants, just give me 1 second to turn off my Telegram, which is dinging constantly in my ear. There we go. Today, the SEC grants approval for Bitcoin ETFs for listing on all registered national securities exchanges. The approved Bitcoin ETFs will be subject to ongoing surveillance and compliance measures to ensure continued investor protection. This was published last night on the SEC's homepage. Within 15 minutes, Gary the Hitman Gensler, Gary the Snake, Gary Green Candles, I don't know what you want to call him, he published this. The SEC Twitter account was compromised. Now, look at the wording. This is very important. It was compromised and an unauthorized tweet was posted. The SEC has not approved the listing and trading of spot Bitcoin exchange traded products. But look at the wording. Compromised and unauthorized does not mean hacked. This, to me, does not look anything like a fake. Let me try and bring that in a bit closer. This does not look anything like a fake hack. What hackers tend to do is they'll type a rude word, or they'll put a link to a phishing site, or they'll just type something random. They're not going to put this much detail into a tweet. So, what has actually happened? In my opinion, the account was compromised and an unauthorized tweet was posted. Means to me that an intern somewhere within the SEC has front run the announcement. And what they've done, instead of scheduling it for 10 p.m. tonight, they scheduled it incorrectly for 10 p.m. last night. This is what I think has happened. So rather than this being a malicious hack and an intruder from the outside, this has actually happened from within inside the organization. One thing that Elon Musk has pointed out this morning is that they don't have two-factor authentication on the SEC government Twitter account. Unbelievable. They are supposed to be the guardians and the safeguarding of retail investors. So I don't want to throw too much mud at them because I think it's a simple mistake. I think they've accidentally published a post which should have been published tonight. That's what I think has happened. Elon Musk and X having, well, not Elon Musk directly, but X has investigated this, and it said that a mobile device has connected to the SEC's Twitter account and published this post. But at no point does anybody mention the fact that this wasn't a hack. Nobody's mentioned the word hack. Hack has been released by multiple people saying, oh, they've been hacked, they've been hacked, they've been hacked. So the SEC, in my opinion, hasn't been hacked. In my opinion, this is a simple mistake and it's incorrectly been published. If you look at the Van Eck interview that was on CNBC yesterday, now if I had more people here to help me out, I would play it for you. But the head of markets or head of securities at Van Eck came on to CNBC and clearly stated that they were going to be approved today and that trading was going to begin on Thursday. That is what was said on CNBC. So is he lying? Because what you have to understand is that Elon Musk, ironically, Elon Musk was fined $40 million yesterday for market manipulation. Yet the SEC itself has not taken the correct safeguards to stop itself from publishing information which you could consider to be market manipulation. Is the head of markets from Van Eck, is he manipulating the markets by announcing that on CNBC? You know, if we go back to Jim Cramer, how has Jim Cramer never been fined for what he says? So it's a very grey area. The SEC has seen its backside, and the poll of the day is very simple. Should Gary Gensler be sacked or resign over this issue? He is the man on the watch. He is in charge of the SEC. They have manipulated the Bitcoin market. They've manipulated the Bitcoin price. Should he not be held responsible for that? Because in my opinion, he should. Now, we all know that come November, there's a very good chance that Joe Biden isn't even going to be standing in the presidential campaign. There's news coming out that he's too ill and he will step down. So we won't have Joe Biden, and Gary Gensler is appointed by Joe Biden. So with no Joe Biden at his back, who are they going to have? Kamala Harris? Are they going to have Kennedy? Who's going to be that person? Because as far as I can see, Gary Gensler, this time next year, maybe 18 months' time, Gary Gensler is going to be working for BlackRock, for Vanguard, for Fidelity, for Goldman Sachs. Bookmark this video, because I guarantee you, within the next 18 months, by the peak of the next bull run, Gary Gensler will be on a $2, $4, $6 million a year wage at one of these companies who he has handed Bitcoin to on a plate. So is he going to be fired now? Is he going to be asked to step down? Is he going to decide to step down? What's going to happen? Interesting. Now, we're going to move on a little bit to look at another bit of news regarding the ETFs. This was the interview, which I'm not going to play. I don't want to be done for copyright or anything like that. So Valkyrie is 95% sure Bitcoin ETFs will begin trading on Thursday. As of the recording of this live stream, that is tomorrow. Applicants say they hasn't got any indications from the SEC. Somebody needs to proof this. This is on Bloomberg. The agency is expected to rule on ETFs approval on Wednesday. Now, we're not going to get to read any of that, but the video is there explaining all of this, and it's what I've just been talking about. The fact that everybody knows it's today and tomorrow, except for the press and us. Now, because everybody knows, is that not insider trading? If all of these employees and family members and friends and distant relatives, if they all know that the ETF is going to be approved today, does that not give them some kind of insider trading on this? Because it's the worst kept secret. I don't know. Anyway, I need to carry on. We're going to look at this chart now because this is rough to look at. Right, let me drop a box. Now, if you remember, I drew a bull pennant a few days ago, and I was predicting the price to go up towards this level here, which was, let's call it 49,000. And remember, my target is 50,000 for the initial pump. And it didn't quite play out as I think anybody in the universe expected. And I think we know why, don't we? So, following on from that news, the markets reacted. Let me just drop this box. Okay, remember to smash the like button wherever you are. If you don't follow us, please follow us. Like I said, we're only 15,000 away from 100,000 followers across the board. That would be a great way to start the year. I think we're probably going to do it by February, the way things are going. Right, so there's a box drop. Now, the market manipulation you could consider to be this. $1 billion was wiped off. Hold on a second. $1 billion was wiped off investor funds in, I don't even know how long it was. No time at all. Let's get rid of these things. Actually, you know what? Let's come down a bit so I can show you actually what happened. It's a bit too far in. So that wick, get rid of these. Lots of people were commenting saying that something massive was about to happen. And a lot of people were drawing two channels. One was this one, and the other was more of this. Okay, so with two people drawing these charts, people were drawing the bull flag from here, from here. I don't think that's a coincidence either, but there you go. So a lot of people were drawing. Then it was announced, we wicked all the way up. We broke 48,000. We came all the way down to, what's that, 45? We actually came a lot further down than that. We came to 44.8 because that's when Brogan longed. So Brogan has longed from that price. He's then drawn these lines very nicely for us, which are the band that we are in at the minute. As you can see, we've kind of come down to it this morning and bounced back up. We're at 45.8. Whatever happens, if we're approved, we are going to break 48,000 tonight, and we're going to head all the way up towards 50,000. It went to the hexagons. Yeah, it did. It absolutely did. It went crazy. So this is market manipulation. All of this here is market manipulation. I don't care who you are. It's market manipulation. If Elon Musk accidentally tweets something about Tesla shares or Doge, he's fined $40 million. But when the SEC do it from their own account, yeah, we just need to investigate it. We need to find out what happened. You know, we don't know what happened. They don't have two-factor authentication on their Twitter account. This is market manipulation. No trader in the world could have called this. None. Not a single one. And the issue is now that we're in a little bit of a shell shock period where the price is actually lower than it was this time yesterday. We're exactly $1,000 down on where we were yesterday. Now, there is a worst case scenario. And the worst case scenario is what happens if we are rejected? What happens if we don't get the approval that we so crave tonight? What happens if the SEC turn around and say, you know, we need to go and investigate? It shouldn't matter because their Twitter account being hacked should have no reflection on the approval of the ETFs. But they might come out with an argument. Well, first of all, I would expect us in some kind of pattern to come down to 37,500. That's the worst case scenario if we're delayed. If we're not delayed, this line here, which is $50,070, that's where I expect us to charge towards. We've got to break 48,000. Then we've got to get to 50,000. And I know I sound like a stuck record, but 48 and 50,000 for me are two very important lines. And then after that, I am not going to give any predictions other than 58,000 is where we could go to next. And I'm not saying that's going to happen on Friday. I'm not going to say that's going to happen next week. But these are the targets we set in stone. We say where we think we're going to go to. The same with Solana. All the way we ran up, we were saying 50, then we hit 70, then we hit 80, and then we went straight to 100. And they are resistance points along the way. And that's what's happening with Bitcoin. We are not just going to have a green candle that goes all the way up here. That's not going to happen. Okay, it's going to take a lot of money to push us to those prices, and that has to come in over a period of time. So what we could see is we could see this happen over a period of time. And again, we don't want to break, look how far we've come away from the bull market support band. Let's get this off the chart. Bull market support band is coming in at about 37,000, which isn't far off my doomsday prediction. Now, look at, there's so many lines. He draws so many lines on these charts. You can't see anything. Let's get rid of some of these lines. Okay, right. So look at the bull market support band. And then let's have a very quick look at the history of it. So when we are in a bull market, we do this and we don't touch it. Now what happens is we should come down and test it as support. And we didn't, on this occasion, we broke down, we wobbled around, we came down, then we tested it as support and we went up even higher. So at some point, there is going to be a correction in the market. I suppose you could argue we tested it here, and I suppose you could argue we tested it here on the way up. But that's a long run. We went all the way from, let's call it 10,000. We went all the way up to 62,000. So that was a good run. I'm not saying we're going to have that kind of multiple now, but what will happen is this bull market support band will start to do this and start to rise the same way it was rising over here. We're going to have some kind of huge pump. Maybe we go up here. And then what we need is we need to kind of try and find the next step on the ladder to then bounce us higher. So when you hear people saying that we're going to have a correction, we're not going to have a correction from here unless we're delayed. We're not going to have a correction from 45,000 down to 30. What we might do is we might have a correction from 70,000 down to 55,000. That's what they mean by a correction. It's not going to happen today, but it could happen in April, May, June. We could have that correction then, and that would give us the move down. But the move down should still be to a price higher than where we are now, because as I say, this bull market support band, when it moves like it did over here, I mean, if we copy that, for example, I really am a terrible drawer. Right, so if we do that, for example, to mimic that move, what we could see is we could see something like this, where we come down and test it at 58, 56, whatever thousand, and then move up. So the bull market support band is important, and you should always take it into account. Now, before we move on from Bitcoin, the only thing I want to point out here is I was talking maybe last week about the Bitcoin ETF pair. And I said that comparatively, Bitcoin has outperformed Ethereum for an awfully long time now. And we drew this chart to show this downward channel that Ethereum has been in against Bitcoin ever since August 2022. And we've been in this downward chart and we just keep zigzagging. So what does this mean? This means that the amount of Bitcoin you can buy with Ethereum has been falling for a year and 4 months. So back here, you could get roughly 12.5 Ethereum for 1 Bitcoin. As of today, you can get 19 Ethereum for 1 Bitcoin. So had you held all of your money in Bitcoin for the last 14 months, you would now be able to get 50% more Ethereum today than you would 14 months ago. Now, this is why you will see people, normally quite clever people, when they sell their Bitcoin, or when they sell their alts, most people sell to USDC. A lot of people who've been in the game for a long time, they sell to Bitcoin and they use Bitcoin as their base currency. Because if the market moves and you're in US dollars, you're stuck on the sidelines watching, and that train is just flying away without you. If you hold your cash in Bitcoin, which is the most stable cryptocurrency, then any move up you're part of. And that's why people sell to Bitcoin. Now, the interesting thing here is that in the last 24 hours, we've kind of, if you look, we were coming down, then we had this massive wick down. We've almost touched this line. And remember, I'm not Rembrandt. These aren't perfect drawings. And then we've bounced. So what does this mean? This means that compared to Bitcoin, we might see a small move up from Ethereum before carrying on down. So potentially, we could see Ethereum outperform Bitcoin in the next 2 or 3 weeks, depending on the ETF. Because if that ETF gets approved and it really, really flies and leaves everything for dust, then we're just going to do this, or even do this, and we're going to come crashing down. But if Ethereum can just stay in the race and Ethereum gets to 26, 28, $3,000, if Ethereum can hold with Bitcoin, then we could see it start to move up. But this isn't going to change anytime soon. Based on this chart, it's not going to change anytime soon. Am I expecting another influx of tens of billions today? I tell you what I'm expecting. I'm not expecting the amount of Bitcoin being bought to be as high as everybody's predicting, because the money isn't sitting on the sidelines as much as people think. And I had 3 prices for Bitcoin. I had the ETF approval, I had the ETF trading day, and I had the halving as my next 3 targets for Bitcoin. The Bitcoin approval was going to be a speculative buy, push us up towards 48 to 50,000. The second price target for me was when the money was going to come in. Now, some people are saying there's $200 billion to come into Bitcoin. Yeah, there is, but it's not going to happen today. It's not going to happen tomorrow. It's going to happen over a period of potentially 6 to 12 months. It doesn't, people aren't just going to leave $100 billion on the sidelines to buy Bitcoin. It doesn't happen. Plus, you've got to remember that, if Apple wants to buy $1 billion of Bitcoin, or Google, or whoever, Tesla wants to buy another $1 billion, that's not all going to happen tomorrow. It might happen, somebody might buy it in April, and then it gets announced in May. Somebody might buy it in June, it gets announced in July, and all of those light the balloon. But what we don't want to do is overinflate the balloon too quickly and the balloon pop. So I think we could see 2 to 5 billion coming into Bitcoin tomorrow. And I know that sounds very pessimistic, but where's this money going to come from? Unless something's happened that we don't know about, and Apple and Google and Microsoft are sitting there with $2 or $3 billion each waiting to buy Bitcoin, where's the money coming from? BlackRock have been buying Bitcoin for the last 12 months through a trust, so that's already priced in. So today, when it's announced that the ETF is approved, That's a speculative pump to 50,000. Then when the trading begins, the trading volume, the real volume should push us up, hopefully towards 55 to 60,000. Yeah. No, it's not been approved. It was fake news. The Bitcoin dominance dropped because the price of Bitcoin dropped and Ethereum started to catch. So what tended to happen, one second, see if I can bring it up. Is it this one? So we've got this level here. Where is it? There we go. Right. So we've got this level here for Bitcoin, this red line. There is a blue line there, which I drew a few days ago. And that's 55%. And we came up and we touched it. But we're in, if you look over the long term, going all the way back to November last year, when everything was going to hell in a handbasket, what we've seen is we've seen the Bitcoin dominance do this. So I think, again, it is going to come down, but it's going to come down and put in a higher low. So it might do this, but if we get approved today, we're going to start to see 55%, maybe even 60%, because Bitcoin's going to run and leave everything in its path. So Bitcoin dominance has come down a touch, but remember, it was at 51% a week ago, and now we're at 53.6%. So it's moving up. It's just had a minor correction. Now, we are going to move on. We've spent half the show talking about this. So let's move on very quickly to El Salvador, which has been panned for the last, I don't know, about 2 years, was it? So El Salvador's Bitcoin gains reached $12.6 million after 2 years of decline. So it was 2 years ago. For the past 2 years, El Salvador's investments remained below their initial purchase value. However, the country now sees an increase in value with unrealized gains amounting to $12.6 million. This positive development in El Salvador's investment saga was acknowledged by President Nayib Bukele, who expressed satisfaction last month, noting the nation's venture into cryptocurrency has finally turned into profit. Now, if you remember at the time, the IMF junked El Salvador. America warned against it. Everybody, every major institution railed on El Salvador. And he stuck to his guns. And now he's starting to see the real benefit. So the average cost is now $42,400. Now imagine if Bitcoin in 2 years, if you listen to Plan B, we're going to have a $500,000 Bitcoin in 2025. I don't think so, but for argument's sake, let's say we do. If El Salvador has 2,800 Bitcoin at $42,400, he will have 10x'd his country's Bitcoin cash reserves from $131 million to $1.3 billion. So what he could do is he could start to dollar cost average out and make his country incredibly rich over a very short space of time. So the unrealized profits come from the Bitcoin recent surge as it goes up. We know about this. So the point of the matter is that if you'd listened to the IMF, or even for that matter, Christine Lagarde from Europe, if you listen to any of these people, El Salvador is not doing this right. We can't give them money. They're a risk. They're a risk to the international monetary system. Don't trust them. Don't go there. He's got rid of crime. He's got rid of all the organized groups over there. He's arrested I don't know how many thousands of people. He's put his money into Bitcoin. He's cleaned up the country. He's offering Bitcoin visas. Yet he's getting panned by the people. Why? Is he getting panned because he's a threat to them? Is he getting this amount of stick because they can now no longer control smaller countries like they've been doing for the last 50 years? Possibly. It's good news for El Salvador, and it's great news for the people of El Salvador. There's less crime now. He's a very good president. He's doing things the right way. He doesn't seem to be doing anything too badly, and he's very active on Twitter. He talks to people on Twitter quite a lot as well. So he's a young, upwardly mobile leader of a country. You compare him. Would I take him over Biden? Absolutely, in a heartbeat. To move on from Bitcoin, I cannot wait for the day where I don't have to mention the word ETF ever again. I'm sick to death of talking about ETFs. I said the same thing on X yesterday. There are so many exciting developments in crypto that they're all being overshadowed by Bitcoin, and they're not reaching the consciousness of people because this ETF has just sucked all of the news up. And that's why I've been covering Matic on the channel for the last 2 weeks to give that some airtime. I've been covering the fact that ADA is making massive moves. The price isn't reflecting it. You know, Arbitrum, Optimism, I don't hold an awful lot of them, but they're going to start to do well as well. I still think Matic is the best layer 2 on Ethereum. We've talked about Vitalik and his changes that he's making to Ethereum to make it more competitive. There's lots of things outside of Bitcoin. It's a little bit like the America syndrome, isn't it? Where the Americans play for the World Series. It's not the World Series. It's a group of teams from America and a couple from Canada that hit a ball around a field. It's not the World Series. Same with basketball. They call it the World, whatever it's called. It's not really the world, is it? It's America. And I think that crypto has become so myopic over the last 2 months that it's focused solely on Bitcoin, that it's missing out on everything else that's going on. AVAX, this time last year, maybe not this time last year, maybe about 18 months ago, I was laughing at it. I was laughing at it because FIFA or UEFA decided to issue its NFTs on AVAX, and I made the joke that it's only AVAX because they were the first one alphabetically in the list. That's the only reason. AVAX has come a long way. We're going to cover that in a minute as well. Chainlink, it is boring as hell. I understand. It's not sexy. It doesn't dance. It doesn't have fancy graphics. But my God, it's needed. Chainlink is facing a make or break moment as Link nears bearish setup, according to Crypto Trader. A widely followed crypto analyst is saying that one Ethereum-based altcoin is dangerously close to flipping bearish. Rect Capital, again, we cover him quite a lot on this channel, needs to hold 1357 to remain in uptrend. Chainlink has confirmed the breakout on the daily time frame, but is trying to retest the red box bottom. Now, we're not going to go through his chart, we're going to have a look at ours. So it's trading at 1353 on here. Let's see what we think. And like I say on here quite a lot, we don't redraw these charts from one stream to the next. So what we've drawn on here is what was on here the last time we spoke about Chainlink. And that is that we were, there we go, we were in this range. Now, brief history in time, Link was there. Great trading setup for May until October. So 15 months it was in this beautiful range, and then it broke up to these levels. Now, if you look, it was in another nice pattern here, except this time it's broken down and now it's trying to get back in. So this isn't based on, you know, any particular fib level, although we have come down and touched this fib level here, but we're trying to get back into this range, and this range is roughly $14.25. We're at $14.23. So what does this mean? This means for me that we're going to return to, hang on 1 second. So for me, you've got two directions. If we get rejected here, I think we're going to come down here to a level 11.16. If we come back up, we could go back up towards $17 and then return to this pattern. There's not a lot of bearish news at the minute coming out from Link. They are looking at something now with, I think it's Vodafone. They're about to look into integrating Link into the Vodafone system, I think. Again, bullish news. Is it enough to drive the price up? I don't know. Twitter is full of people who are not happy with Link because Link is doing a lot of these, we're going to test this, we're going to test that, we're going to test this, without actually producing something. So they're doing a lot of suitability studies without integrating into enough real life solutions for people to be happy with. So I think the community is more negative than maybe the news warrants. So I would like to see us break back up towards probably about $15. If we get back towards $15, I'll be happy. But it's Chainlink. If we come back down towards this $11.40 range, I would look to buy more. So that's my hitbox there, $11.40. If that gives way and we get down towards $8, then oh my, that's a steal. Remember the all-time high on Chainlink, if we can get back to it, is somewhere around, is it $47? It's somewhere up there. $51. So we've got some way to go. We're a 4x away. Again, we've come down to this level of support that we must have drawn on a previous channel. We've got to get back inside this range and move up. But for me, Chainlink's in my portfolios. I hold it. I'm never going to have a bad word to say against Chainlink. Given what they're doing at the minute, it's a matter of time before this becomes a multi-billion-dollar project. And remember, it integrates itself with all the other blockchains, and that's going to give it longevity. Now we're going to move on to talk about a coin that I'm not a fan of, and I'm sure most of you are, which is Doge. I'm probably not going to bring the chart up on this one because we don't really have a lot of time. I'm trying to get to the quiz. So let me very quickly drop a comment to win box. 1 minute. There we go. One second. Once I've dropped this box, we will get cracking. So Dogecoin, there was some fake news out about it, which is always a shame. The 9% swing amid fake rumour of mascot's death riles up crypto enthusiasts. The volatile episode came at a time when the crypto industry anxiously awaits the Bitcoin ETF. It's in every article. It's just spread everywhere like roots. Dogecoin jumped 9% on a later recanted social media rumour about the death of the token's mascot. The volatile episode irked the observers as liquidations soared on the fake news. So we're at 8.3 cents for Doge, and it pumped because the dog allegedly died, but it hasn't really died. So that's pretty much the news on it. All I was going to say about the price is, again, I want to go into the AVAX stuff and then the quiz. All I'm going to say about this very briefly is the price action of Doge. Come on. There we go. Again, we like to draw our channels. It wasn't doing very well. Crashing and burning. And then it broke out and peaked back up at this 10-cent mark before coming back down. I mean, again, these charts are fairly old. It's come all the way down to this huge area of liquidity. There's decent support. 1 second. There's decent support here for it at this line. And if we move up, we should get back up towards 9.5 cents, maybe even get back up towards 10 cents. I'm not a fan. I'm a bigger fan of SHIB, but it's broken down. All I can say is that potentially we're in this downward path that we kind of need to break out of at some point. Don't know how much of a channel I want to draw on that, but there you go. So we've now gone into this, and you know, the top of this range is 8.7 cents, but my strategy for Doge, if I was to hold Doge, is hold it until the news is announced that they are going to be integrated with X. When it pumps up, sell it, never look at Doge again. That's my advice, not financial, but there we go. Good morning, Mr. Duller Show. Nice of you to join us. So Doge, for me, sell it when it pumps on the news from Elon Musk. He's just got, is it Alabama? He's just got the money license in Alabama. I don't know how many states he's got now. 20, 25, 30 of them. So he is expecting by the middle of this year to have the X all-in-one app, peer-to-peer payments going on. Is it going to use Doge? More than likely. Is the price of Doge going to absolutely skyrocket? Yes. Is it a good chance to make some profit? Yes. There is the line I have drawn, 17 cents. It's going to break through that at some point. 17 cents. I would be selling it at 17 cents. I'm not going to hold this coin. I'm not a fan of it. I don't think it does anything. It gets printed to infinity like the US dollar. And there we go. Right, last bit of news then before we get onto the quiz. Remember, we only do the quiz on exchanges. If you're not watching on an exchange, the stream will be going off in about 5 minutes. If you're new here, please hit the like button, subscribe, comment, the usual type of things. We've hit some big milestones on some of the platforms very recently. We're aiming for 100,000 followers hopefully by the end of February. We're up to 85,000 followers. So if you can do me a favor, smash the like button and smash the subscribe button, I'd greatly appreciate it. Now, Avalanche, we're not going to look at the chart on this. We'll just very quickly go through it. The AVAX NFT boom. There's also the AVAX meme wars going on at the minute. There's some meme coins over there. I'm not going to say the names of them, but AVAX has its own culture growing underneath it, the same way that Cardano has, the same way Solana, the same way Ethereum. They've all got their own meme NFT cultures. Avalanche is starting to grow its own. And is it going to survive is the question that's been asked. There we go. So Emperor Osmo mentioned in a post the increase in active addresses on the NFT network has indicated an increase in engagement with the platform. In particular, there are blue chip collections like Dreamheads and DocuWorld played a major role in attracting interest in NFT activity and increasing the boom. Despite these challenges, Trader Joe's, the leading DEX operating on the AVAX network, has shown significant growth with a 13.7% increase over the past month and a 135% increase in revenue. Trader Joe's performance stands out as a positive indicator for Avalanche. Totally agree. Now, what I would say about Avalanche is I am probably going to make a video about Avalanche and what wallet to use, how to connect to the project, how to look around. For me, AVAX is another token that I hold. I was buying Avalanche. I was buying it at, I don't know, it wasn't pennies, but it was dollars. And it was one of those tokens. I didn't have a lot of faith in it. But I thought, you know what? I'm going to hold some optimism. I'm going to hold some Avalanche. I'm going to hold some coins that I'm not massively into, just so I can keep an eye on the price action. And it surprised me an awful lot. I do think it's going to have a good run up. I do think it could be one of the dark horses of the next bull run. So keep an eye on AVAX. Have a look at the NFT marketplace. If you want to buy, I think you can get 6 or 7% APR staking it on the exchange you're on. So it's a good coin to buy, hold, and stake. A little bit like, for me, Matic. It's a great coin, to go and buy 1,000 Matic, go and stake it on the exchange you're on, earn 4 or 5% yield on that, give it a couple of years, wait for all of these developments to really flourish. You know, the Disney, Starbucks, wait for them to really flourish. With AVAX for me is a little bit further behind Matic, but the price is still looking very good. So make sure to check out AVAX. Now we're going to do the quiz. And if you are watching on an exchange, bear with me. If you are not watching on an exchange and you are watching on somewhere I'm not allowed to mention the name of, then do me a favor, smash the like button. I will be streaming again tomorrow at 11 o'clock and tonight as well. We should be having a Beam giveaway. We're going to give away some Beam tokens tonight to celebrate the ETF launch, if it happens tonight, that is. So make sure to subscribe and come back tonight. We might have a special stream on. In addition, next week we're going to be streaming Star Atlas, which is a token that's available on the exchange that you're currently on. That token, I think, is going to pump after this stream. Not because of us, because we're stress testing the platform. We're going to try and get 1,000 concurrent players playing Star Atlas this time, 6 p.m. next Wednesday. So make sure to check that out in the calendar. And if you give me 30 seconds, I'm going to turn off one of the streams. And when we come back, we're going to start with the quiz.